So, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all our viewers around the globe, and welcome to another series of intimate conversations with your host, Mandy Horton. And our guest today is Corie Haddock. Welcome, Corie.
Kia ora.
Kia ora. And I just want to say to all the subscribers that if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do that. That would be lovely. And also share this with anyone you may feel that is interested in Corey's conversation today, our conversation. So, Corey, I'm just going to read your bio so that we can introduce you to those who don't know you, and then we'll start our little chat. So, Corie Haddock is a heart-led healer, Reiki Master, community leader, and lifelong student of personal transformation. Grounded in compassion, wisdom, and service, he walks between the practical and spiritual worlds, supporting people to reconnect with their own strength, purpose, and well-being. Drawing on years of experience in leadership, healing, and whānau-centred support. Whānau means family, for anyone who doesn't understand that. Corie creates spaces where people feel seen, heard, and empowered to grow. His work is guided by the values of manaakitanga.
Yeah,
Excuse
yeah.
my te reo, it's not very
No,
good.
it's all good. No, it's all good.
And whanaungatanga. And the belief that healing begins when we remember who we truly are. With a deep connection to energy healing, meditation, and spiritual development, Corie helps others navigate life's challenges, awaken their inner wisdom, and step more fully into their authentic selves. His approach is warm, grounded, and deeply human, honoring both the spiritual journey and the realities of everyday life. Healing is not about becoming someone new. It is about remembering the wholeness that has always existed within you. Absolutely, Corie. That is absolute and beautiful.
All right.
So thank you for saying yes to coming in and having a chat with us. And also, I think, for me, I always, it's not really my place to thank everyone for doing what they're doing. But I know with my mahi over the years and how much it felt like, we're doing it on our own a lot of the time. And now there's more of a collective coming together and a family and tribes we're finding. And it's really beautiful,
All right.
and more hearts opening.
Yeah,
So it's
definitely.
lovely. And thank you.
Not a problem.
Yeah. So, Corey, first off, what I tend to start with is the question of were you in a consciously sort of aware child? Did you come in consciously aware of what our purpose and journey is this lifetime? You
Yes.
did.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah,
What was
very
the
much so.
dynamics around that when you were a child?
Well, I guess I was a very sensitive child. And being a sensitive male I guess, brought up in the late 70s and early 80s, it's an interesting dynamic in an interesting space. And so, uh, as I guess as aware as I was, and I was lucky that I had people around me that had strong awareness as well. Like my mother and my grandmother, and other whānau. Um, it was very much about
Really?
being the man, being strong, being courageous, being tough. Not showing your emotions, not crying, and so there was that, I guess, that constant challenge and that constant dynamic that went on in my childhood,
Mm,
um, sort of made more interesting, I guess, by the fact that I'm a severe dyslexic. So, places like school was not I guess a supportive or an environment that I enjoyed. But I guess my saving grace was that I was
yeah.
naturally quite a gifted sportsman, and I found martial arts reasonably young in my life, and and so that allowed me the
Mm,
opportunity to explore my spiritual side. I did a martial arts called Zendo Kai, and they always talked about, there's three elements. There's the Yakuza, the Yamabushi, and the Hotomoto. And it's the Yakuza was the enforcer, the Otomoto was like the tax man, but the Yamabushi was the I guess the spiritual guide and the the person that was connected to spirit, and that's where I always resonated. And I was lucky in that I had some very good martial arts instructors that identified that in me early and encouraged it and allowed it to grow.
Mm. Beautiful. That's lucky, actually, that you found that because, I know how lonely it was for me having all these weird things happening, and nobody to speak to about that. So, I mean, in a sense, that gave you the out for you to be able to energetically, you know, move it through you, maybe say that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, very cool. And so, as life progressed, Corie, did you know what, like, because hang on, I just want to go back to you being brought up in as a sensitive and in a
Yeah.
very, we look at the world, it's a very harsh masculine, dark masculine world. And it is that harden up son, boys don't cry, all the things. And what I'm, really witnessing now is the beauty in men softening. There's such a beautiful softness that's coming in now. They're really touching into their hearts and standing behind their, beside their woman instead of behind, in front and rah
Yeah.
rah. So it's really shifting over. But what I what I wondered was for you to come through that, like, did you have somebody who sort of like my dad was very good for me. My dad sort of supported me, even though he didn't know he was doing that. He was the I don't know what it was, the strength and the grounding. And and so who did you have in your close family, whānau, that was that person? Was there somebody?
All right. Yeah. I mean, I think I was really lucky in that probably both my parents were really supportive in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
My mum, I guess spirituality was something that was just constantly talked about.
Yeah.
We weren't religious.
Yes.
One of the proud things is that I talk about being a heathen. And I'm unbaptized, and for me that's a blessing. Um,
Yeah. Same.
and but so spirituality and that sort of thing was just a constant conversation because it was just a normal part of life. And we lived as a kid, we lived in a very active house. So it was spirit was always around, and so it was just talked about
Beautiful.
as a very normal thing. Um, and it was always about just doing your best and being yourself. And I think. So my mother very much emphasised that. My father, he taught me about, I guess about, really core values. And, you talked about the dark masculine stuff, and, there was a little bit of that, but there was also the whole thing around having a really strong work ethic, about the values of other people and the values of
Yeah.
family and the important part there, and being very community orientated.
Mm.
For my dad, is I guess he, in a lot of ways, he prioritised, community and the communities that he supported over family at times. And so, but I guess it was those ethics and values that they both taught me that I have taken, I guess, and allowed to evolve and grow into, what they are
Mm.
today.
Mm, that's so beautiful because, man, a lot of that's been lost, over the years. And I grew up with all of that too. We were real community, mum and dad. And it's something, yeah, that has been sort of very much lost over the years. But I do get, I see a lot that of, posts on our community pages and things for whangarei and districts, and there's a lot of frustration around what's happening with the homeless and how it's not happening for the homeless.
All right.
All these things are really, people are struggling, and community, a lot of people are upset about it, but what are we actually doing? Like,
Yeah.
it feels like everyone's saying something about it, but there's no actual coming together. We need to, maybe not. But I think we do. I think we need to just start really pulling together again in community. And I know there's a lot more of it happening, but there's still a lot that isn't. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I think it is happening more and more, and you know, di I think at times diversity can separate people, and because
Hmm.
diversity becomes about individuality. But then when you have now when people are struggling, um, and what tends to happen is when you struggle, you come together because you have this, I guess a collective need. And
Mm,
so
yeah,
often, some of the best innovations come out of need and lack of puti, lack of money, or lack of resources, or just that need to survive. And
yeah,
I think you know, probably in the last sort of 3 to 5 years, the people, especially in Aotearoa in New Zealand, but worldwide are really struggling, and you see them getting back to the whenua, back to the land, and
yeah.
starting to grow their own crops again,
Mm,
and communities coming together to connect and support each other.
yes,
Because in a lot of ways, I think we professionalised the family. Like it wasn't many
yes.
decades ago that we didn't have social workers, but we had aunties and uncles
We
and nannies
did.
and stuff, and
Yes.
they did that supporting, on behalf of the family, and
Yeah.
and as that sort of eroded and we became consumers, I suppose, and the 7 day a week thing happened, and what happened is the support that used to come from family and community now it comes from a professional, with a piece of paper that hangs on the wall, and not being
Does.
not being critical because I have those bits of paper, and that's
Yeah, yeah,
the
me
mahi
too.
that
Yeah. Yeah.
that I lead and manage for the communities that I live in. Um, but it was, I guess those natural support networks have disappeared, but like everything, they always come back round. And I think
They will.
what I'm seeing is that more and more, those natural support networks that sit within community are starting to come back.
Yeah, they definitely are. I'm definitely seeing that too, and it's a beautiful thing. Yeah. It's hard to watch though, it's hard to watch. I think when we work in with community and we work with, even individually with a lot of people, and over the years, particularly the last 5, 6 years, I've seen things just really going down. It's like,
Yeah,
oh my goodness. And just, the hardship. It's been difficult to watch a lot of that. But again, we come back to we learn from hard stuff. We learn from the shit bits.
yeah,
It's not all pretty, it's not all
yeah,
roses. And
yeah.
we've learned a lot through our lives from being in hard spaces and pressured and
Like
all of that.
adversity is such a great teacher, isn't it?
Totally, it
And
is.
it's
It
yeah,
is.
and the
Yeah.
secret is actually understanding that, and you just got to ride the bullshit, and then
Yeah.
at some point, use that adversity as some insight, and
Yeah.
what have I learnt here?
Exactly. And I think what's happening now too is that, you know, I for me, I was watching a lot of people wanting a rescuer, somebody to
Yeah,
come in and save and turn it all around and save everyone. And really, we've been, in a sense, relying on our leaders to do that, and they
yeah,
aren't, and they haven't, and they're just not interested to. They have their own
yeah.
agenda.
And there's
And
yeah,
now it's sort of like it's coming back to the people, and the people are realizing, well, shit, that we're the only ones here that are going to be able to do this because nobody else is interested. So
yeah,
that's where the community thing is coming back in. And I remember, Corie, when I was a kid, I need to pull this curtain a bit because it's a bit dark. When I was a kid, I grew up in Taihape, and it was a beautiful community to grow up in. Everyone looked after each other. We all knew every family in the community.
yeah,
But oh God, it was annoying. Mum would get a phone call when I was 14. Do you know
yeah,
Mandy's smoking cigarettes down in outside the town hall? And oh, it used to annoy me so much. I'd think nosy people, why don't they just,
yeah,
pay attention to their own life? But in that now looking back, it was such a good thing. It was such a good thing. Our kids, we didn't. We honestly didn't get in up to too much because we knew we wouldn't get away with anything.
yeah,
There were so many eyes on us and they weren't cameras.
yeah, yeah. You
It
get
was
caught
great.
eventually. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's, just sort of going back to that whole thing around, the expectation of someone to come along and save, save the
Mm.
day. And that's such a promoted thing, isn't it? You look at
Yeah.
media and marketing and movies and even religion.
Yeah.
Um, is that there's one person's going to come along and they're going to solve our problems. And the
Yeah.
reality is that actually it's us, and we need to do it.
It
We
is.
need to do it collectively, and we
Yeah.
need to do it for ourselves, but we also need the opportunity to do it for others as well.
Absolutely. And I'm really at a point, I've been gaining so much on my own pathway and own opening and discovery of self and the becoming, for a very long time. And I'm really in a give back space now. It's like I just want to give back, and I have done all along, really. I've been
Yeah,
giving back, but it's become more important to me and more deeply felt. And I think yeah, I'm just there's areas that it's happening in, but it's sort of like, oh, what else can I do? It's really, really there.
yeah.
But how did you get into your Reiki mastery, Corie? Like what sort of took you into that direction and through into that direction?
Oh, look, so like I said, I think, there was always a strong spiritual element. So I was always a seeker, I was always looking and trying to understand and to find something that resonated with me. And, I remember being all of
Mm.
17 years old and going to the Glenfield Community Centre and doing like
Oh yeah.
a shaman, 1 day course there. And just I guess just seeking and looking um, went through diversity, went through issues and challenges with myself with addiction and that sort of thing, and found what cured me was, or what helped me was addressing the spiritual issues that I was struggling with, and
Yeah.
I was lucky enough. I met a gentleman called Bruce Hume. And Bruce was a spiritual energy healer. He was a master in Kung Fu and a Chinese medicine doctor. A big Scandinavian gentleman, believe it or not. But and so I met Bruce at work, and he said to me one day, he said, "Oh, you've got addiction issues, and if you ever want to deal with them, you come and see me." And so
Mm.
eventually I did, and I went from being Bruce's client to then becoming one of his students, and then eventually. We became friends. And, one of the beautiful things about that process is that when Bruce went through the sort of final years of his life, he was actually living with me and my whānau. And,
Oh.
we supported him with that, and, we're there right through to the day that he passed. And, it was this great gift. And I know
Oh,
that,
beautiful.
I have a 19-year-old daughter, and Bruce is, one of the beings that watches over her from the other side. And I
That's
know that she
lovely.
is safe because, he is there. But yeah, so for me,
Mm.
originally it was about, the spiritual and the energy stuff was very much about addressing my own issues. And then it was about an interest
Yeah.
in being able to support other people to address their issues. And originally it was about I was trying to find a professional avenue, and it's what sent me down my second career into social services and high complex needs mental health services. And I worked a long time in
Mm.
homelessness and aged care, and sort of bounced around, but always going back into the or having that strong spiritual element to everything that I did.
Yeah.
And supporting people to be able to identify who they are, and to genuinely find themselves, and connect and create that relationship with their wholeness.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that there is the key, isn't it? Like, I working alongside some others in the mental health realm as well. And the purpose of them getting me in there is around connecting the client with their wairua, connecting them back into and seeing whatever lines, the ancestral lines that are coming up that are showing me where this started.
yeah,
and what that was actually about, which isn't about the mind in this person's body today. It's something from somewhere else that's been traveling through their cellular and all that. And it's been really interesting. I love, love, love it because I know that that is absolutely the key. And it's shifted that, the results are just insanely cool. And
yeah,
and it's like, I'm sitting back going, oh my God, this is what I wanted to do. And it's just been really interesting. And how
yeah,
many, because they know, well, those who have known where to come in respect to me, and there's others, but the people that have come to me that have been able to be helped and balanced, I suppose, back into Wairoa and
right,
connected again, in
yeah,
that they haven't had to go into the ward. And if they had have done before that, they would have still been there.
yeah,
It's a sad thing to know that there's so many that are in that place, but or in that space of not, not having that assistance. But
yeah,
anyway, it's all moving and shifting, isn't it? There's so much now that's rising up throughout. And I've got a really close friend that I went through school with who nurses in mental health in Hastings. And she is, we were talking and saying how it's just become so overwhelming because for those people, for the workers, because there's just no beds, there's no room. The chat room and conversation room that they'd have, I know there's a name for that and I can't think what it is at this point. Anyway, is now they're having to put beds in them,
yeah,
consultation rooms.
yeah,
So it's like it's just overloaded. It's sad. It's really sad.
yeah. And
Mm,
the systems. I mean, if we're looking at Aotearoa, looking at New Zealand, the systems here just they don't work. Whether it's mental
no,
health, whether it's justice, whether it's
yeah,
welfare, and we're getting second, third, fourth generation people,
yeah.
getting stuck in those systems.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly that. Yeah. But so simple things sometimes. A friend of mine works in a lot of the community stuff too in the UK. And she was working with bridging those with addiction. So she works with them with addiction and alcohol, drugs, whatever it is, and their homelessness or their situation they might be in, and then
yeah,
bring them through all that and bring them into a community base where they're actually starting to come back in to community. Anyway, she was saying that there was a young girl who had been badly abused over her life, and she was, I think, an alcoholic or drug, I can't remember. And she went off one night just out in the middle of the road, and she's creating this traffic thing out in the road, and there was a big hoo-ha, and the police were brought in, but they were two men, and
yeah,
she didn't need men at all.
right,
She really needed female police and helpers. And so this friend of mine, she put forward a simple thing of having on their records a flag, a coloured flag that was either green, yellow, red, or blue, which indicated their need. And with her, it would have been that she needed female assistance, not male.
yeah, yeah,
And that flag would have represented that. And I thought that is such a simple thing, but that would have saved, because they were men, she did not want to go. She was performed more, yeah, it's just simple. I just thought that was so simple and such a great idea. And they've taken it up in the UK in
yeah,
her area. Yeah, it's
yeah,
great.
yeah. It is a great idea,
Mm,
and I guess it just reinforces the impact of trauma, right? And
exactly, for
how
sure.
the flow on effect that trauma has
Yes.
in a lot of people's lives, but
Yeah.
also the value in like breaking the cycle. And I know for me that's one of the things I'm proud of is that I was it was me and my generation that took the opportunity to
Yeah.
break the cycle of that, and I see it in my daughter. Who was just a different girl because of the fact that we broke that cycle. Yeah,
Yeah, It's such a cool thing, eh, Corey? I've seen it with my
Yeah,
two girls too. Every time I did something in here for me that was major with our line, I
yeah,
saw the change in them. They didn't have to sit in and process anything. It was
yeah,
through me doing it that it shifted.
yeah,
And this is what I'm seeing more and more of is that ripple now in families that particularly that I've been working with for years even have now shifted a lot and they're just pumping like actual,
yeah,
really cool. It's
yeah.
really,
And
really beautiful.
and the ripple goes both ways. That's the
It
beautiful thing
does.
is that you are addressing the trauma for your, from the ancestral line as well. So
Yeah,
that
for
resonance
sure.
and that energy that was, because energy never dissipates. It always remains.
Yeah,
By addressing it, you're changing it, and so you're
you
changing it
are.
for your ancestors as well. And
Yeah,
it is a real beautiful thing.
it is. And more that that's happening when I tune in to the state of everything at this moment in time, say personally or collectively, I'm seeing the past being like sand mandalas that are now blowing away with the wind.
Yeah,
Like sand just drifting in the wind. They were designs, they were template, and now they're just sort of dissolving and moving. And it makes me so cool, like happy in respect to that we are now shifting the past. We're not
yeah,
able, there'd be no more of that going back into that place. It's just such a
yeah,
beautiful thing.
yeah.
And the
And I
learning
think
has
we,
come from it, of course.
Oh, definitely. And I think we're seeing it in our social structures as well. Slowly, slowly.
Yeah.
And I think there's more, there's more raru to come
Oh, for
within
sure.
society. But I always tell people that, just because what you see isn't always what you get. And, we live in this, energy of duality. And so all the bad stuff
Mm,
that's going on, we need to remember then that means there's heaps of good stuff going on as well, because it's that constant balance process that's being
it
undertaken.
is. Yeah. And we've had more of the we all know what joy feels like and happiness feels like and all the things, but we've had more on a scale of the trauma side of life and through our ancestry. If you look at history, it's been pretty hard out.
Yeah,
And now we're starting to get more of the joy, happy coming back. And
yeah,
it's like that there is now starting to come in and overtake because this is the other is dissolving more. We're working with it and moving it on. The joy and happy is able to stay and be embodied. And it's really building that process of joy and happy and the higher states of love,
yeah,
now in the form. And that's something else. Like I'm seeing that really happening, and it's a beautiful thing to witness and be in
yeah.
myself. It's
And
it's
it's one of
lovely.
those things that,
Feeling
it's a bit like,
safe to be there.
yeah, and it's a bit like
So
magic, right?
yeah,
No, no, it's all good. It's a bit like magic that the more you see it, the more you see it. It's that whole thing of,
yeah,
and I guess it's the same with love, right? So the more you
it
experience, the
is.
more you will experience.
Yeah, yeah. And I was just saying to a person the other weekend. It was talking about how harsh the world is and that, oh gosh, we need more love. And I said, well, I've heard that all my life. We need more love on the planet. We are that. I said, but what we did was we barricaded it up. We put it away because we've been so hurt and we couldn't trust that if we opened up and brought it out, it would be okay.
Yeah,
And it's sort of that's where we're up to is opening up more and letting it out of us. And I believe that's what our illnesses and diseases are created from is from shutting away the love that we are
yeah,
and not actually being able to express it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
when you think about
that's
it,
coming.
yeah, I guess when you think about it, or when you feel into it, we are, as beings, we are an expression of love.
We are.
It's
Yeah.
the physical expression of love is what creates another being. And
Yeah.
so,
Exactly.
it is, we are, that is the foundation on which we build. And then,
Yeah.
through, social norms and conditioning, I guess we're moved away from that. And, that cycle
Mm,
is very much about loving. You start by always finding that connection and that love for yourself. And then once you have that, it's
yeah.
then, how do you push that out and share that with others?
Mm, mm. Yes, definitely. It's a very Man, it's a very transformative time, but I know it's scary for a lot and it's really exciting for a lot. There's
Yeah,
like that, you know. And yeah, I'm just excited to get on and bring more awareness and, you know, um, just get on and do what I'm here to do and what I love
yeah,
doing.
yeah.
More and
Well,
more
yeah,
people too stepping into that place with not having to work for money and turning it around and coming into something that's joyful for themselves and really being in a space of just loving their work and their mahi and knowing that that's something that they will want to do forever maybe and
yeah,
that it's actually paying them as well. It's
yeah.
like that is all a part of the new. It's beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, it's
Mm,
understandable that, there are people that sit in that resonance of fear because, change generates fear. And
yeah.
if you sort of, when you get to that point of having the knowing that the universe will always look after you, it'll always have your back. Um, it'll always, make sure that you come out the other side of, whatever you
Mm,
are experiencing. To me, that's when that shift happens, and the ability you let go of fear then, and then your vibration goes up and increases,
yeah.
and hang on,
Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. I often say, tie yourself onto the surfboard because we're on another one, another
yeah,
wave of shift. Yeah, it's pretty out the gate. But I was
mm,
watching a documentary type of thing yesterday. It was called The Black Hole Apocalypse. And it was about how black holes became, or how they discovered them, and that they're actually not a natural thing, that like they don't follow the law of nature in a sense. But they create, there's more and more of them creating. And I was thinking that's what we're doing. We're sort of like the black holes. We're coming in, like we're moving things through us that are transforming us, and we come out the other side
yeah,
different to what we sort of entered into it.
yeah,
But they're talking about how they're pairing up like two black holes, like really creating this force of nature that is quite a whirlwind. They did give us a time. Gosh, I can't remember now. It was back in 1980 or something like that. There was a wave of energy that came through the planet at that time from black holes that had connected up, two of them,
yeah.
and that there was this massive energy boom that sort of went out and rolled through the universe. And yeah, it's a very interesting doco. Um,
Sounds like
but
it.
yeah, I was just sort of thinking how we're doing this. We're transforming things so much. We're sort of almost like the black holes,
Yeah,
you know. Yeah, it was interesting. But it's
sounds
such a
good.
cool time. And what have you got on, Corie? Do you run workshops and things like that? Do you have anything that you're wanting to pump out there at the moment and
Yeah, look,
let everyone know?
I mean, historically, I've always worked purely through word of mouth. And so,
Yeah.
it was always just a feast or a famine in regards to the the spiritual work, and that was okay because
Hmm.
I always had my other mahi that I do, um, but my crew sort of gave me a shove not too long ago actually, and said,
Yeah.
sorry, it's time you went public. And so there's the Emerald Light Healing Centre that I have created, and so you can find that on Facebook. And there's also the Small Village
Yeah.
Wizard. Which is my YouTube page, and so like this at the YouTube page, I do a thing called Reflections from the Sink, and that's basically me
Hmm.
reflecting on the world as I do my dishes. And so all little snippets of, just the universe and how
Oh,
it's
cool.
unfolding. But in regards to the Emerald Light Healing Centre, that's very much about the heart-centric work, and that is becoming more public. So currently the work I'm doing
Mm,
is energy-based, and it is very much one-on-one, and it can be either face-to-face or remotely. But there is
that's
plans
cool.
afoot to start doing some more workshop based programs, and I've got a couple of really
Hmm.
lovely environments where I'll be able to sort of set up and get that underway. Um, and yeah, so there's definitely some stuff drafted up, and people should keep an eye out for what's going to be coming out.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's so cool to hear, Corey, because it really is time. Like you know, I don't know if you've been watching our series that we've just done on Shoot the Breeze, my other podcast around the pioneers and the second wavers, the first, second, and third. We've got to do the third one yet.
Yeah,
Of volunteers that came in, soul volunteers. And that was really interesting to witness in respect to being shown that these beautiful positions we all took up and times that we came in and our purpose in arriving here have been really fulfilled for many. I know I have done my part of for sure. And it felt to me like when I was coming out of last year, and I came into this year, it felt like part one for me had been done, like completely all of that life that I was in there has now been done. And it's like coming into this part, I felt like I was part two now. And what was that? I wasn't sure. But all I knew was all my cellular, ancestral stuff, all the things that I came in to clear up have really been cleared up. And now it's about me. And
yeah,
when we did the pioneer corridor, it was like there was just this real deep awareness that we've been holding a space for so long. We've been holding frequency on the planet, doing all that for such a long time. And now all the cavalry's come and we can actually let go because it's built to a point now energetically and framework, templates, all the thing Earth grid, everything is now at a point where it's stable enough for us to actually let go, us pioneers. And
yeah,
now it's like I feel like for the first time ever, I'm really about me and what I'm doing here now, not for the collective so much, even though it will be that expansiveness, of course.
mm,
But it's come back to my purpose again, and it's really beautiful. And I can feel that there's so many others that are following in and not following in, but joining in that movement of it is time. It's time to
yeah,
come out of the closet, come out from under the bed or wherever we might have been hiding ourselves and really, and not even hiding, but you know what I mean. It's stepping
yeah,
into it more. It's really, really time. And I love that. I love that we've got to that point because that's the bit I knew when I birthed in that I was here for. And I was really frustrated having to go through all the other stuff to get to it.
yeah,
I was very impatient. So
yeah,
now it's like, yay, we did it. We're here and now we can get on. So
yeah,
yeah, good on
yeah.
you.
And I remember the old days of like, doing, group meditation and doing grid, energy grid clearing and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Um, but also, it was only, probably 2 years ago that I actually finally got a better understanding of like who I am and why I'm here. And,
Yeah.
I remember my crew explaining to me about, that you're basically our field officer. So you're there, your boots on the ground for us, and what
Yeah.
you do is, we can connect with you, and but then understanding that, the work that we did during the grid clearing allowed the vibration to get up to the point where, they could then send their energy and vibration through to allow me
Yes.
to create that connection with, with my guides, with my team, and
Mm.
and genuinely start, the journey that I'm on now. And to go back, back to your original question you asked about the Reiki thing. And for me, it was, the reason I took up Reiki or, went into that space of Reiki is that I've done energy work for a long time since, sort of the early 2000s off and on. But when you explain to someone about being an energy worker, they, give you a bit of a sort of cockeyed look.
Yeah.
But when you talk about Reiki, it's like they've got something they can a hook that they can hang something
That's
on.
right.
And
Yeah.
so, but in saying that, I was also incredibly blessed. I work with the amazing Linda Northcott. Who Linda. She's
Mm.
been on your show,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
so she supported me all the way through that process, and it was a 4 year journey, and there was so much learning that came out of that. But again, is that when I talk to people that are I guess, new to the process or new to the space, Reiki is something that they've heard about, and so then it allows you the ability to talk about chakras, to talk
Yeah.
about energy, to talk about, I always talk about I'm a garden hose, that the energy and getting is not coming from me, it's coming through me, and what I
Yes.
can do is that, and I talk about, that it's a radio. And what I do is when I, start that connection, I'm just tuning my radio and I
That's
just,
right.
I
Yeah.
tune it in and then away I go and yeah, step out and
Mm,
let it flow.
yeah. And it is that we are that vessel. I always call it hollow vessel, to
Yeah,
step into hollow vessel when you're going in. And yeah, and Reiki was where I started too. And it was really good because it gives you the connection. It teaches you how to connect in, even though you are, but it connects in you're more intentionally, and it's a really beautiful thing.
yeah,
And then from there, I just did my thing really, but that was that was a starting point, and it's a great starting point, really
yeah,
is. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Well, it gives you that ability to heal yourself.
does. Yeah,
And if it's if you just all you ever do is Reiki one and learn about,
yeah.
to connect with yourself and to heal yourself,
Mm.
that's a beautiful journey in itself.
Do you teach Reiki? Do courses and stuff teaching?
Yeah, so I do have that ability to, well, I think Linda calls it being the master, so the ability to
Yeah,
teach. Um,
yeah.
and I have primarily supported Linda in like just teaching larger classes. I haven't sort of
Mm.
run anything personally. Um, and
It's
I
coming.
guess I'm not,
You will.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's just because I think it's a part of, you know, what I really believe is that I guess as a healer, you have a little swag bag, right? And so when I'm working with, either with a group or with an individual, I'm guided around what work I am to
yeah,
do. And so, sometimes it is Reiki, sometimes it's about sitting down and having a conversation, so, that
yeah,
whole talk therapy element. Sometimes it's about, communicating what's being, brought through. Um,
yeah.
yeah, so it's very, you know, it's about ensuring that you have a stable of options that you can provide to people to ensure that
That's
they
right.
get what they need and get what resonates with them.
Yeah, exactly. It is exactly that because we become space holders really for them to do what they need,
Oh,
really.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
in that coming out of part one and into part two, I couldn't even say my name. And it
yeah,
was like, then it was starting to sort of ground a bit. I was starting to get more come through. And I kept hearing from myself, don't grab anything, just let it be, let it just keep coming because it's not finished yet.
yeah,
And all through that, all I kept feeling, because I was like, I need to change the wording on my website and all the things, which I haven't actually done completely yet. But it's like things needed to just shift and change on everything that I was like the labels. I've never been a label. I didn't want label, but that's what we
yeah,
have to do. Like you say about Reiki, saying Reiki, everyone gets that. Oh yeah, I know. And then you've
yeah,
got that open.
yeah. It's the ability to
And
open the
this
door. Yeah,
Yeah. And so I sort of never really, yeah, anyway. And then that came and I was like, I don't actually want the labels that I've got. And what do I say I do? And the only thing that really sort of poured at me was that I'm just a reflection. I'm a space holder, and whatever you receive from me is what I am.
yeah,
That's really it. Because you can, everyone that comes to you, I've had thousands and thousands of people over my lifetime of doing this, and it's like each one would probably give a different description of some sort, maybe similar but different of what they
yeah,
received. It's like, so yeah, it's getting more sort of for me anyway. I'm finding because we came into last year, we need to change the language. It was like now on a collective level, we need to change the language. It's not about saying it the way we used to say it. It's not about expecting it the way we expected it. All the things had to shift.
yeah,
And so, in looking at what the new language might be, it was hard to describe what we do and how we do it. Like,
yeah,
when I get asked, what's your mahi? I have so much I do, I don't know where to start in saying what I do. And the
Yeah.
young ones that know me today think I'm a podcaster. That's it, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, it's
Yeah.
funny,
Yeah.
but
I
it's
just
all
talk about being a
shifting.
way shower.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly
here to
that.
show people, shine a light.
Yeah, yeah. It's it's interesting, but it is fun, and we've got to have a laugh about it, honestly,
Oh,
because it's
you
too
don't laugh, you
serious
cry.
out there, eh?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful, Corie. Is there anything at all that you feel you'd like to share more on, or yeah?
No, no, I'm
All
all good.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful. It was a lovely convo, and it's lovely to meet you here. Thank you for
Yeah.
again saying yes. And we'll put all your links and things up on the show notes and all that. So
Okay.
yeah, much love to you and all the best for the rest of the year, of course,
Thank
and
you.
all that.
Yeah. Talk
Mm,
soon.
will do.
Many
Thanks,
blessings.
Corie.
See you later.